Hello, people. Cool. All right. Hi, everybody. I, of course, can't read because I'm blind, but I will try to see as many of your messages as possible and try to answer for a change, because I usually screw that part up dramatically. And I did make sure to bring the cup of coffee to spill, which you all seem to freak over every time I do one of these things. So what we're going to do today is fire play. And by fire play, there are some variations on fire play, of which, of course, I always write notes because I never remember a damn thing. So we're going to talk about what kinds of fire play there are, and then I'm going to actually show you guys how to do a type of fire play using alcohol. And then we'll set me on fire, which is the really smart thing to do, right? So, usual disclaimer, do not try this at home. This is like really stupid. Fire play is stupid, but if you're going to do it, try to do it safely. So, types of fire play. Fire play comes in a number of varieties, anything from candle wax, cupping, fire flogging, alcohol, wands, torches, you name it. So the variety of kinds of fire play are wide and dramatic, and not all of them I would consider safe. Cupping is basically you take little globes of glass, almost like a shot glass kind of thing, and you take like a cotton ball soaked in alcohol, you light it and put it under the cup, and then place it on your skin, and the oxygen gets sucked out from the fire, and it causes suction. So it's it can be very nice. It can also be painful depending on the amount of suction. You have different size globes. So that's what cupping is about. Some people do wands and torches, and you've probably seen this like with the people that do fire eating. They'll have like either a metal or a wood torch with a piece of cloth or something on the end, and then they soak it in a fuel. And that fuel can be any number of things, and then they will either drag that torch across your body, or maybe use it like percussive instruments. And of course the sensation being heat, possibly pain, possibly burning, depending on what you're trying to do with it. The type of fire that I do is alcohol based. Some people do the alcohol prep pads, and you lay down a layer of alcohol and you light it on fire, and then hopefully put it up before you burn somebody. Though, once again, depending on what you're doing, you can burn people. Next thing, candles. Candles are great fun. I really think everybody should try them. Only use paraffin, wax candles. Try not to use anything with any kind of scents, dyes, chemicals in it. That can be really nasty, so just use pure paraffin. Can we light the trolls on fire? Yeah, you can do anything you want. Next one is the fire floggers. Fire floggers are basically, some people will take a whip or a flogger, soak it in some fuel and light it on fire, and then usually just sort of twirl them. Some people will actually hit or flog a person with that, which is extremely dangerous because fuel can get splashed and spread, and it's completely uncontrollable. The other version of fire flogging I've seen done is where you light a person on fire and then you put them out with the flogger. So that sort of covers. Oh, there is one other one, and that would be branding. Sometimes called devil's fire or cell popping. And I have done some branding. I use the violet one to brand, and it It takes a little more time because it's not like a physical burn. It's using electricity. It does burn, it does pop cells. So you can brand with a violet wand. I didn't show it in my demo because I just didn't think it was appropriate at the time. I figured I would mention it now when doing it this way. So branding is really not for most people. There are some people that do it, and they can use any number of methods to brand, cauterizing pens or anyways. So moving right along, I have some warnings. I always do my warnings because I don't want people to get hurt. Let's see here. I'm going to just read from my list. Oh, by the way, if anybody has questions, I can answer some questions now. So need to shave all the body hair. Well, that is exactly one of my first warnings. Don't set anybody on fire that has hair where you're lighting them. Body hair goes up really quick and it spreads like a wildfire. It's really nasty, so you have to be really, really careful with that. One of the other things I'm cautious about is the type of fuel that you use. You really only want to use a pure fuel like alcohol mixed with water. Don't ever use pure alcohol. It burns too hot. It doesn't leave you with any kind of a barrier to protect the skin, which water does. Some people are out there using like hand sanitizers and mousse, kerosene, weird mixtures, and these all have are petroleum products. They have chemicals in them that can be toxic, either smell-wise and or sensitive to your skin. So please only use alcohol and water. Let's see here. Another thing you have to do is you have to avoid running, splashing, and dripping fuels when you're doing fire play. I mean, the easiest way for things to get out of control is when you lay down a little bit of alcohol. When you light it, is to have it run down a person's side, and then you light it, and then all of a sudden their side is on fire as well. So you have to make sure that when you apply your fuel that you do it very carefully. Next thing is that the burn time is relative to pain. If you leave a fire on somebody for 10 seconds, they are going to get burned, and it's probably going to be third-degree burns. From what I have found with alcohol, a burn time that works pretty good is anywhere from 1 to 1.5, at the most 2 seconds, and then you're going to start burning people. So if you're only going for sensation, which is what I do, and the sensation is wonderful, then you want to keep your burn time down. And next thing is safety. You always have multiple ways to put out the fire. And I always have the handy fire extinguisher, which is like mandatory, and then a wet towel of some sort. Normally, if I'm doing play in a club, I will have a large bath towel completely soaked in water in a tub. And that way, just in case you can't get this put out, you can at least throw a towel on person and stop any damage from happening. So, and it's always good if you can to have somebody else standing by with either the extinguisher or the towel to do this for you, because sometimes just the amount of time it takes for you to turn around, pick something up, and then place it on them can be the difference between a second or a third-degree burn. So, if you do get burned, obviously first-degree burns are usually pretty minor and will do often quite well just by themselves, cool water and wrapping them. But if you get a second or third degree burn, don't put anything on it. Go to the hospital, call an EMT, just get it taken care of, because it's just the right thing to do. Don't screw around with burns. Okay, so now we're going to get into how I actually do this. And The real trick with using alcohol here, I'm going to turn the camera so that you guys can see what we're going to do here. And you notice that Charles has lined the counter with little wrapped dolls. He's now become a decorator of bondage, it looks like. So, anyways, what we're going to do here is I tried to figure out a safe way for you guys to learn this at home without killing yourselves. Just a simple plate and then underneath a regular plate to get it off the table so I'm not burning my table. The key for alcohol burns is evaporation. Alcohol I only use it mixed with water, and usually at about a 70, 75, sometimes 80% mixture. And you can buy this at any CVS, Walgreens, whatever. So I use a little squirt bottle, and that way evaporation is kept to a minimum, and then I always put it onto, I guess these are like a little leather shoe polish dabber kind of thing. And I'm just going to show you what happens if I just make a big puddle and light it on fire. You're going to notice that this burns and burns and burns, and you are now hurt somebody. So this is not the way to do fire play. If you do fire play that way, it's not a good idea. What I do is I let the alcohol evaporate, and the key here is to learn how long to let it evaporate. Make one little line, and usually I would recommend starting at 10 and counting backwards, and then light the fuel. And you can see it's nearly all evaporated at this point, so nothing lights up. So you just count back maybe to 5 or 6 this time, and you'll see that it comes out a little different. And the burn time is cut down to about a second or 2, which is good because then it makes putting it out a lot easier, which is wonderful. And if you do have to put it out, which you should always have your hand ready, very simply, just slide your hand across it. You need to make sure when you use your hand or your arm to put out the fire, don't let anything get past your hand on the other side, because trying to go back and control is harder than getting it right the first time. So don't panic and go slow when you're sliding your hand to put out the fire. If you're lighting somebody's back on fire, you need to, I use the whole, like the belly of my arm. I will lay my arm down and get the whole thing. And that way, because, you know, backs are pretty big, it's a lot of fire to try to put out by waving your hand back and forth 18 times. So I like to get it done one pass, take your time, make sure it gets done right. So some of the fun things that you can do with fire is patterns. You can light it, and you see it, nice little square, very cool. You can pretty much do whatever you want and have the fire walk around on the person if they're laying down, like on their back. You can make little spiral patterns or whatever, and the fire will walk. And that's wonderful. And what I often do is when I'm at a club, I will put a person on a cross so that their arms are way up and their legs are spread, and I will run a length of alcohol from the tip of their hand all the way down their arm, across their back, and down the opposite leg to their ankle. And I light it at the ankle, and you end up with one little trail about 2 inches long of fire going all the way up their body, and it puts itself out if you time it correctly. Like I said, evaporation really is key here.
I'm going to take this up.
That's fine. So, as you can see, it's great fun to just play and lay down patterns. And if you wait just right, it puts itself out. So this will be a fast, easy way for you guys to learn. Okay, I'm going to stop for a second and see if you guys have any questions before I set myself on fire. Please tilt the camera down. Okay, well, we sort of have it set so that when my arm is in here, that you're going to be able to see it better. We're going to turn the light down a little bit so that you can actually see the flames. Alcohol burns blue normally, and except for you do get a little bit of yellow flame when there's other chemicals or other matter being burned, like your skin or hair or other things. Let's see here. Make sure, sorry, just joined. Everybody's talking about the chat blocking. Yeah, you can turn off the chat if you just want to see this visually. Of course, you can always go back and watch the replay later, and the replay will be on catch.me. God, I'm losing my voice again. / MistressXmas, XMAS. So you will be able to see these over and over again so that you can get any of the details that you are missing. So let's pull this. What, you have something?
Oh yeah, don't wear rings.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You never want to have a metal object near fire. It will transfer the heat and very quickly you will be burned.
Well, the other thing with rings is alcohol will get under it, and your ring, you'll get a flame under your ring that you might not realize until it's much too late.
Okay, go ahead and pull the blind. Sorry, folks, I'm losing my voice again. My doctors had me on bizarre chemicals and steroids, and it's been ruining me, so let's make sure this is in a good spot. So once again, the trick here, if you're going to set actual skin on fire, is to wait for the evaporation. So we're going to give it a second, get ready, and go. So hopefully you guys actually saw that. And then often what is good afterwards is to go ahead and light it again, make sure all the alcohol is gone off my arm, and or wipe it down with a towel or something. So we're going to do another one. Go ahead. So the sensation is actually quite nice. It's really warm. If you do like one and then you do another one really quickly afterwards, the effect becomes additive because your skin hasn't had time to cool down before you do the next one. And of course that can either be good or bad depending on your viewpoint. But it is a wonderful sensation. I sure hope this is coming across well. Go ahead. This is something girls with hairy arms, what? Now, no, make sure you shave if you're going to do this. Even for the ladies, I have like really fine hair, but hair smells awful. Even though you may not be causing a forest fire, it's much better to not have to smell it. So, and then you can do sometimes other patterns where you can make the flame jump. Go ahead. Which is, it's a little harder in this sort of sitting position. Normally if I'm doing fire on people, I'll either do it when they're laying flat on their stomach, flat on their back, or on a cross where they're almost completely vertical. If they're laying down, it's great if they're on their stomach. You can put a little swab on their butt and spank it out, which is good fun. You get two things at one time. You get the heat and the pain. Or you can do a person's back. You can make the pretty patterns, have the flame walk around, which is great fun as well. And of course, standing up, I believe, offers probably the most options. Go ahead. So it's pretty cool. And that sort of really shows everything, assuming you're actually able to see what I've been doing. So why don't you go ahead and turn the light back on a little bit here. So do your grandchildren know you do this? I have no grandchildren, but I do have nieces and nephews, and no, they actually particularly don't know. Some of my sisters and family know. Nearly all my friends know. So it's really not a problem for most people. I turned chaps off. Fire showed up. Great. Oh, good. I'm glad that you were actually able to see it. So please, if you're going to do this, be really, really careful. And, you know, try to do this like on a simple pan at first. Experiment with putting it out, letting it evaporate as long as possible before you light it, because let's bring the pan back for a second. I'm going to show one other thing. I'm going to show you one more thing here. That if you let it evaporate long enough, and I don't know if I quite got that the last time, that you can make it just turn into one giant flash that puts itself out if you wait just right. I need a dry swab and some fresh alcohol. So for me, I like it best when it just flashes and then it puts itself out. I think that is, it's the prettiest, it's the safest, because evaporated fuel is so far away from the skin, the odds of you burning somebody are a lot less than if you light the gas that's on a person's actual skin. Like that. So this is really just completely lighting vapors. And you can see what I mean about letting it get out from underneath you. When you do a large area, you really need to use your arm. So anyways, that sort of concludes what I originally wanted to show you guys. It is great fun. I think if you're going to try it, try to do it safely. And what else can I say? All right. So any last questions and I can try to answer? I'm going to her house to play for the weekend. Can I use makeup? What? Make creme brulee? Walmart sells 91% alcohol. Yes, and you can also get 99%, 80%, 70%, depending on the store. It's easiest if you get like pure and then mix it down to 75. For me, at least in California, with the humidity we have, 75% works great. In other parts of the country where it's more humid, you're going to need a higher percentage of alcohol, maybe 80%. Is this a good Christmas gift? I suppose it could be. Well, it looks like we have a nice crowd. So everybody that's not following me, please follow me. And I really appreciate all the hearts. So that's really nice. And you can always contact me at Megan at MistressXmas.com. And you can spell that in any combination you like. Or MistressXmas at MistressXmas.com. Or on FetLife, I'm also MistressXmas, XMAS. And all the demos so far, and including Dr. Jana's interview, are on catch.me /MistressXmas for my demos and Dr. Jana for the interview. You'll have to wade through her pile of scopes because she does so many, and they're all so wonderful. Think you are really brave? Brave, stupid, maybe a little both. Oh, hi, Doctor, you're here. Yay, she's here. What's the tool you're using to ignite the flame? This is a violet wand. I did this in my last demo. It's a Tesla coil that produces a spark, as you can see. And I used this for lighting fire rather than using like a lighter or a torch or a flame, because anytime you apply a flame to a fuel, there's a chance that you're going to burn that person. So I avoid that by using electricity. And you could probably get, they make lighters that are fuelless, that produce a spark. That might actually work just as well, and probably a lot cheaper, because a violet wand is very expensive for most people.
They're piezo igniters. Yep,
piezoelectric lighters are also igniters.
Use them for
And the other thing, let's pull this out, please. I guess I could show that I didn't show the last time was the branding part. That was brilliant. So if you can use the ISO tip, which I normally use for the lightning hands option on a violet wand. You can use this for branding directly. This could be extremely painful. And if you go close enough to the skin, this will start popping cells and producing a brand. So that can be painful. Or just touching yourself in the socket can be painful too. All right, so I guess I should recap a little bit here. Let's see here. Oh, that's awful. You can see into the storage room. So as far as fire play, you got lots of different kinds. You have cupping, you have wands and torches, you have the alcohol swabs, like what I'm doing. You do have candles, and candles are great fun, and I probably will do a demo for candles sometime, because candles are great, and pretty much they're very simple. It's really just how far it drips determines how much pain and whether or not it burns. And of course, using pure paraffin wax is always the best. And then the other kind of fire play is fire floggers. And what is it here? I can barely read. Oh yes, the branding, the cell popping, and devil's fire, cauterizing pens. It's all the same deal. And safety-wise, only use pure fuel, please. Make sure people are shaved, the obvious things, and that, the amount of burning time really determines if you're going to cause a first, second, or third degree burn, or hopefully no burn. So, and that pretty much covers it. I think we're done. Did I go over my half hour? Yes?
I don't know.
You have something to say?
No.
No?
Questions?
Nothing to add? Questions? Hello, my dear. Thanks for sharing. Well, it's fun to share. There may not be a demo next week, or possibly for a couple of weeks. Maybe I'll get Charles to do something, which would be better. But I might be taking a break. I'm losing my voice and haven't been feeling my best lately, so it will. I could use a break. So thank you all for coming. Please follow again. You can catch me on catch.me. You can get me on FetLife. You can get me at Megan@MistressXmas.com. So thank you so much for everybody showing up. That's been really wonderful. No matter what you think you are. Crazy honest. Yeah, I'm pretty crazy. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.